Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday morning. We've got a massive show to bring you guys today. But before we jump into that, please do make sure to smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner. So on the show today, we're going to be reacting to Manchester United's latest set of accounts, which have revealed that the Glazers have put United in $1 billion worth of debt. We'll be giving you the full breakdown of that and giving our reaction. We'll also be talking a little bit about a race for a centre-back in the January transfer window. Obviously as well, talking about the massive Manchester derby, 3:30 p.m. UK time kickoff at Old Trafford today. We'll of course be giving you our thoughts on that. Lots of other bits to get into as well. So do make sure you get involved in the comment section, get involved in the live chat and let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss on today's show. So I'll tell you what, let's start off by talking about the game today because that is the most important topic of discussion for today, isn't it? It's the big one. It's the Manchester derby. I don't know why, but I'm feeling quietly confident. I know that sounds crazy. I know we've been absolutely terrible this season. I know we've not seen anything really to convince us that our play style's improved. We just won the last 3 games in a row, though. I know pretty much all of them are unconvincing. But I just have a feeling that they're going to go out there and they're going to put in a good performance today. And I think that we will get the win. And I think it's not going to be pretty. I imagine that Man City will have most of the ball. I imagine Man City will have most of the chances. But I think when you've got people like Marcus Rashford who you can use on the counter attack, I think we'll be able to damage Manchester City. The one thing to note though is obviously Man City's side at the moment is full strength. Rodrigo's obviously back from suspension. You know, they've got Kyle Walker, Gavardio, John Stones, Ruben Dias. Jeremy Doku looks like a good player. Obviously, Bernardo Silva's a world-class player. Haaland, Alvarez, Grealish. Their starting 11 is probably as strong as it can possibly be at this moment in time. There isn't anybody other than obviously De Bruyne notably out injured. Whereas when you look at our squad, I think we've got some good players available, but I would say, you know, there's still quite a few people missing. You know, there's question marks about whether Casemiro will start. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka's injured, Luke Shaw's injured. You know, 2 or 3 of our best defenders are injured. Obviously, Martinez is injured. So it isn't a full-strength Manchester United side. So we have to remember that going into this match. You know, if you look at our back 4, the fact that Martinez is injured, Luke Shaw is injured, and Wan-Bissaka is injured, that's 3 of our best 4 defenders, isn't it? You know, those 3 and Varane were our defence for the whole of last season. And then when you look into midfield, if Casemiro doesn't play, what does that mean? Is it going to be Christian Eriksen and McTominay? I mean, things can change very, very quickly. At this moment in time, I feel confident. I feel like we can get a result. It might not be deserved, but the 3 points is the 3 points. I would be disappointed if we lose, let me say that. I think a draw would be fine. I think a win would obviously be amazing, but I just have this feeling that we're going to go out and put in a good performance. Obviously, at home, we usually tend to do okay against Man City at home. Obviously, we beat them last season at home, didn't we? 2-1. Again, a bit of a dodgy game. We got that VAR goal, which probably wasn't a goal. Remember where Bruno, was it Rashford kind of like half touched the ball, but he didn't touch the ball and he was in an offside position and they decided that he didn't interfere with the play, but he obviously did. And it was all a bit of a mess, wasn't it? So you never know in football. Crazy things can happen, especially now that VAR is there. But yeah, let me know what you guys are feeling about this game today. Let's have a look what everyone says in the chat. Andy says 2-1 United. Irvin says, I see us winning 1-0 or losing 3-0. Fair enough. I think it will be one of those types of games. I do agree with you. You know, we'll either win really tight, it could be like a 2-1, or we'll get absolutely destroyed. But I have this feeling we're not going to get destroyed today. I'll probably be sat here this evening and we'll have lost 7-0 and everyone will be laughing at us and everyone will be screaming Erik ten Hag out probably, won't they? Like, but I just don't want to go into the day thinking like that. I just think it's pointless. You know, what's the point in generating all of this negative energy, you know? We've got to believe in our players. We've got to believe in our manager. We beat them at home last season. Why can't we beat them at home again this season? You know, if it was away at the Etihad, I would say we'll be lucky to get out of there with a draw. But we're at home. We're at Manchester United. We're at Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams. We need to go out there and we need to put in a good performance. I said in my match preview, I thought it'd be 2-1 Manchester United. I think Man City will I think United will score early on. Man City will equalise quickly, and then I reckon we'll get a goal on the counter attack. Because the thing is, right, Man City will want to win this game. I know that sounds obvious, but the reason I say that is they're going to attack us. They're not going to sit back like like a Sheffield United do or like a Brentford do when they come to Old Trafford. Man City don't sit back and counter. We'll be effectively the away team today, in the sense that by our style of play, I would imagine we'll sit back and we'll counter attack. I would imagine that's what would happen. I'd be very, very surprised if Erik ten Hag tries to play Man City like for like, tries to play a possession-based game, because I think Man City will destroy us if we try and do that. So hopefully Erik ten Hag understands that where we are in our process, and I'm sure he does. He knows we're a long, long way away from being able to actually compete, like for like with Man City. We're probably 2 or 3 years away from being able to play against Man City and coming at them with the same style of play as what they offer. Today, it needs to be counter-attacking. It needs to be sitting back. It needs to be every player behind the ball working 120% the whole game, giving it their all, and then trying to look for those avenues to get out from the back, the balls over the top to Marcus Rashford to run onto, etc. Obviously, I did my predicted lineup on the match preview, but I'll talk about that really, really quickly so we can have a little bit of a discussion around that. So I think that it will be Amrabat and Casemiro as the 2 CDMs. I think he'll go defensive, and I think that is the best route. I think that Bruno Fernandes will obviously play. I have a feeling that Mason Mount might start as well, because I think Antony on that right-hand side, he hasn't really looked great, has he, since he's come back from his, whatever it was, not suspension, come back from his time away from the first team, let's call it. And I think that Mason Mount deserves a chance. We spent £60 million on him in the summer. Everyone in this fan base, literally every single Manchester United fan I spoke to about Mason Mount said, why have we bought Mason Mount? I don't understand the signing. I don't get it. We don't need him. We're 10 games into the season. He was injured for about a month. He comes back from injury and he hasn't played for 3 games, I think he needs to play. What's the point in, bringing these people in if they're not going to play? Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Anthony says they will turn up like Italy did, expecting a win 3-1. Fair enough. Andy says Ten Hag is not the problem. I agree with you, mate, 100%. Yeah, I think the thing is, right, we are the underdogs. If you ask any rival fan today who's going to win this match, they'll say Man City, right? And I think that will work in our favour. Darren says, I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. Our form hasn't been good, but if it's a good performance today, then a point would be a good defensive display. Kevin says, attack, lose 5-0, but go down in a blaze of glory. I hear what you're saying, mate, but I think that, Erik ten Hag trying to play Pep Guardiola ball 1 year into the job against the team that's just won the treble, against one of the greatest managers of all time with the greatest squads of all time, I think would be naive, and if anything would actually undermined Erik ten Hag's intelligence as a manager. So I think he has to play this one defensively. I think he has to, sit back. I think he has to not do what he wants to do. And we've seen that from Erik ten Hag since he's been here. We know that Erik ten Hag's style of play is, possession-based, 70% possession. You're not going to do that against Man City. You're not. Like, it simply won't happen. You saw them play Real Madrid in the Champions League last season, beat them 4-0. All of these great teams have been beaten by Man City. And I think that if you try and play Man City at their own game, you'll get beaten. You will. No doubt about it. Andy says, why did we buy Mount and a new goalkeeper? That money could have been used to buy Harry Kane. Yeah, I agree, mate. I do. I think Mason Mount, I think he's an all right player. I've never really been that much of a fan of him, to be honest, even before he came to Manchester United. I don't think it was a good signing to do, to be honest. I don't think we needed to buy him. I don't think we needed to strengthen that area. If squad rotation was a thing at Manchester United, then great. But Bruno Fernandes is never going to be dropped. So what was the point in bringing him in? But I would agree with you that, like you said, a CDM or Harry Kane would have been a more sensible way of spending the money that we used on Mason Mount and Onana. Although I do think Onana's going to come good. I have a positive feeling about Onana. I think he's going to prove the haters wrong, And the thing you have to remember as well with Onana, right? One of his best performances ever was against Man City in the Champions League final last season. He was unbelievable in that match. So hopefully he can do that again. I remember Pep Guardiola coming out after the match and praising him and saying how difficult it was to play against Onana when Man City played them in the final. So hopefully today is the day where we get another massive performance from Onana. He pulls off some huge saves and we go and get a result. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that one. Everybody who has just joined in the last couple of minutes, please do go and smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It doesn't cost any money, it's completely free. Get involved, bottom right hand corner. Irvin says, with good organisation and patience, we can get a win at Old Trafford. Go Man United. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree. Irvin says, Kieran, do you know the starting 11? We have a rough idea of what the starting 11 is, but at this point, There are question marks. I can tell you this. There's question marks about Casemiro. He might not be available. I would say it's 50-50 at this point. The defence, I would say, is almost set on being this. So defensively, it's probably going to look like Reguilon at left back, Maguire and Varane as the two centre-backs, and Dalot at right back. Midfield, it will either be Amrabat and Casemiro or Amrabat and McTominay. In the forward positions, I think Rashford is always going to start. Bruno's going to start. Højlund's going to start. And then I think the only question mark is that right winger. I probably would say that Antony will start, to be honest. I don't think he should, but I think Antony will start this match. I would have liked to see Mason Mount, but, you know, if Mason Mount hasn't played football for... I mean, I don't remember the last time Mason Mount started a game for us. Let me just have a little look for you. It's been a long time, hasn't it? He was injured, and then he just doesn't seem to get picked. So Antony probably is more fit and available to start this match. Let's have a look. I mean, Mason Mount's only started 5 games in the Premier League since we signed him. And he's been here for the whole season. He's played 5 matches in the Premier League. He's only played 290 minutes, which is the equivalent of about 90, 80. He's played the equivalent of 3 whole matches in the Premier League out of 10. I mean, that's not great, is it, for Mason Mount? Whereas if you compare that to Bruno Fernandes, who obviously we know plays every single minute, Bruno this season has played... Right, get this, right? Bruno Fernandes in the Premier League this season has played 810 minutes, right? Mason Mount's played 295. Bruno's nearly played triple the amount of minutes as Mason Mount. I mean, that's absolutely mental, isn't it? And it does just make you wonder why we signed him. Like, I don't want to keep going on about it, but I don't really understand why you bring in somebody and then you literally barely play him. Like, it makes 0 sense to me. I mean, even Antony, let's have a look. Antony was suspended or, you know, was away from the squad for ages, and Antony's played 403 minutes. Antony's nearly played double the amount of minutes as Mason Mount, but wasn't available for a lot of the season. So it's very confusing. Al says Erik ten Hag didn't know what he was doing. He thought Mount could play alongside Bruno as a number 8. He was wrong. I agree with you. It didn't work at all when those two played as... I think one was playing as more of like a CDM and the other was playing as a centre attacking mid. It didn't work, did it? Andy says, I don't have a problem with our new keeper. I thought David De Gea was not a problem. Other areas of the team needed strengthening before a new keeper. I would agree with that. Irvin says Mount will probably get 30 minutes coming back from injury. Also depends on the current score, of course. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's talk about this debt topic then, because I mean, this has absolutely blown my mind this morning. I'm not entirely surprised, but obviously anything to do with finances and the Glazers, you can never give them any credit, because every single time a new story comes out around Manchester United and finance, it's always bad, isn't it? It's always bad. Whenever you put money and the Glazers in the same sentence, it's always an issue, isn't it? And it's always a negative thing. So let's jump into this story. So for anybody that's unaware, Manchester United have now submitted their financial accounts for 2023. I think it was the middle of 2022 to 2023. And the headline is this, that Manchester United now owe over $1 billion in debt. They have a debt of $650 million. They've also got $160 million on a credit card, which they use to buy players and stuff. And they also owe $317 million in transfers. So that's crazy, isn't it? And I did a bit of research into other clubs, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. Most of the other clubs in the kind of top 6 owe around 100 to 150 million in transfer fees still. Ours is 317. It's almost triple some of the other top clubs. Absolutely crazy. And then if you flip that on its head and look at how much money we're owed for player sales, it's like £40 million we're owed. I mean, it's absolutely mad. So the headline is the Glazers have put us in now over $1 billion dollars worth of debt. Absolutely mad. Because I know everyone was always saying, 650. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Because the thing is, right, every single summer we spend this money on players, and people are like, people who don't understand Manchester United say, the Glazers spend money. The Glazers have literally taken so much from this club that then they don't even have our money to spend anymore. That's the key bit to take here, right? They're not even spending our own money on players anymore, because they've milked us so dry that they're having to borrow more money to be able to buy players, because there's no money in the Manchester United, accounts or whatever to actually spend ourselves. They're having to borrow it on credit cards. They're having to, do transfers over like 10-year periods. It's an absolute disgrace. It really, really is. And the interesting thing as well, right? This report that came out, the dates that are, that are mentioned were before we even signed Højlund and Onana as well. So you could probably add at least another 100 million on top of that. So it's probably somewhere around 1.1 billion now. It's absolutely mad. Let's see what else people are saying. Andy says, I don't think the Qatar deal is dead, as I don't think Ratcliffe will buy into United. Fair enough. I don't disagree with you either, to be honest, Andy, but we'll have to wait and see. Ginge says Haaland hat-trick today, 4-1 City. Why can't it be a Højlund hat-trick? Come on. Daniela says it won't be Man U winning this game. It is whether City lose it. That's a fair point. I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't think Man United will go out there and put in a 10 out of 10 performance and batter them. Very far from it. I think we'll park the bus and I think we'll hit on the counter-attack. Andy says I would rather go into the wilderness to force the Glazers to sell up. Milas says Højlund has had 11 shots in the Premier League and Bruno has had 27 shots. That's the problem, isn't it? You bring in this striker who everyone's excited about. And I'm literally not going to criticise Højlund for 1 minute. I'm not. Because he's not even getting any chances. It's not like he's missing a clear-cut chance every single game. He gets maybe one opportunity, if that, per match. And it's like him throwing his leg across the box after somebody does a cross that was awful and he's trying to get on the end of it, Andy says, this is why we need Qatar. The club has lost money 5 out of the last 6 years and the stadium and infrastructure is falling apart. Where is the money coming from? Well, the money's coming from credit cards, mate. They're borrowing more money. They're going to banks. They're not using their own funds, obviously. They're getting out credit cards. That's the key point that I wanted to bring into this show this morning and why the headline is obviously this 1 billion debt. When we buy these players in the summer, right? The Onanas, the Højlunds, the Mason Mounts, that money isn't even Manchester United's money anymore. We don't even have the money to buy these types of players. We're taking it out on credit cards. I mean, that's absolutely mad, isn't it? So when you see rival fans saying, oh, you spend loads of money and all the rest of it, we're literally having to borrow money from banks and credit facilities in order to buy these players. It's an absolute disgrace. It really, really is. Mila says Bruno, Anthony and Rashford are totally useless this season. Fair enough. Richard says it's difficult to see where goals come from at present. I agree with you. Anthony says Man U will turn around from here on out, irrelevant to the Glazers and all rubbish talk. I hold the faith. Yeah, I think we've, the past 3 games, we've just won the last 3 matches. I've already said earlier on the show that I think we're going to win today, which I think 90% of people in this chat think I'm crazy about. But, you've got to be positive. But at the same time, you've got to be realistic and you have to highlight these types of issues, You can't just let the Glazers get away with putting the club into more and more and more debt. And, people who aren't Manchester United fans or who have a basic understanding of football look at the situation and say, oh, you spent 150 million in the summer, And it's like, it's just a rubbish argument. And when you actually look at where this money's come from, Mila says managers should make players better, not like Erik ten Hag. That whole squad is out of shape. I would disagree with you. I mean, look at our team, right? Let's have a look at our team. Let's do this quickly then. I'm happy to have this argument with you if that is what you would like to do this morning. No problem at all. So Wan-Bissaka, when Erik ten Hag joined, pretty much was gone, wasn't he? He was out of the picture. He was on the bench. He was about to leave in January. Erik ten Hag comes in, makes him one of the best right-backs in the Premier League. Marcus Rashford, I think, scored 5 goals the season before Erik ten Hag came in. Comes in and he scores 30 goals last season under Erik ten Hag and Benny McCarthy as the striker coach. I would say that's an improvement for me. I don't know what you classify as an improvement, but I would say going from 5 goals to 30 goals in one season is an improvement. Let me just double check that just so people aren't coming at me in the chat saying I've got it wrong. Yeah, so the season before Erik ten Hag came in, Marcus Rashford scored 5 goals in all competitions. 5. I mean, that's an absolute disgrace, isn't it? 5 goals for a striker. The next season, he scored 30. Obviously, this season's not been very good so far, but he scored 1 goal this season so far. If you look through the rest of the team, let's have a look who else we've got. I mean, most of the players who are playing at the moment are new players, so it's hard to say whether they've got better. I mean, if you look at the squad who played against Copenhagen, obviously Reguilon's new. Maguire's the same. He's not got any better or worse. Varane's not got any better or worse. McTominay's the same. Amrabat's obviously a new player. Anthony's a new player. Yeah, so it's difficult to compare, but I think he has improved quite a few. Darren says Dallow's also improved. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Dallow, has taken that right-back position and he has improved somewhat. I wouldn't say he's world-class yet, but I think he is getting better. Mila says, I'm not going to watch the game. I'm not going to waste my weekend. Okay, well, that's fair enough to you. You don't have to do that. Andy says, if we are successful on the pitch, it drives more revenue. It does not go back into the club, just goes back into the Glazers' pockets. That's why I don't mind 2 seasons finishing 10th rather than 20 more years of misery. I hear you, mate. I hear you. Right, let's move over to this story about the centre-back quickly. We did obviously speak about this player on the show a couple of days ago, and it's one that quite a few of you are really, really excited about, me included. Now, Manchester United, as we all know, are desperately looking for a centre-back in the January transfer window. So the player's name is Sebastian Cáceres. Plays his football for Club America, Uruguay international, 1 year left on his contract, and is available for somewhere around £4 million, purely because he's only got a year left on his contract. And obviously, at the moment, he's playing his football in the Mexican league. He hasn't got that big European move yet, so his value is a little bit less than what it might be if he was at, say, like an Ajax or an Inter Milan or whatever. So apparently Manchester United are now preparing a bid for Club America centre-back Sebastian Cáceres. So it looks like we will be going for this player. Whether or not we'll get him, I don't know. Apparently Tottenham are also interested. Atletico Madrid are as well. We will, of course, keep you updated. It's only like 2 months until 8 weeks until the transfer window opens. So we do need to start being ahead of the game with these ones and actually trying to get these bids in and, having some sort of agreement in place. Gordon says, hi Kieran, great show as normal. Let's hope the sale goes through or collapses over the next week or two. The uncertainty is unsettling for everyone at the club. I agree with you, mate, 100%, and thank you for the nice words as well. Scott says, I'm going to try my best to be positive today. I have a feeling we will win. Same, mate, I do as well. I don't know why. Richard says, my concern is the system. Our wingers are constantly looking to cut inside and shoot. Højlund is feeding off scraps. I agree with you. Irvin says, I'm curious about what Casemiro, Amrabat and Mount could do if they were to start. Your opinion? What? So are you saying Mason Mount as the centre attacking midfielder? I would be open to see it, but I just don't think Bruno Fernandes is ever going to get dropped. So it's a bit of a... Unless Bruno gets injured, I don't think he'll ever be dropped. I don't. Al says we should only consider cheap players since we are broke, need value signings. I agree with you, mate. We need to be looking at people, from markets like Mexico, Uruguay, Brazil, people where we can potentially get them before they get their big move over to Europe and then their price goes up by 10 times, That's what we need to do, and it's something we haven't ever really done at Manchester United. But I'm going to wrap the show up here, guys. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner, if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Let's hope and pray for a win today against Man City. I'm feeling positive. I don't know why, but have a lovely morning or afternoon, and I'll speak to you all a little bit later.